Hey guys, Teresa here. Welcome back to my channel, Lost My Thread. I'm here today to share my summer sewing plans. I wasn't really sure if I was going to do a summer sewing plans video this year because I still have so many things from my spring plans that I haven't managed to sew up. And generally, living in London, England, most of the things from like spring and even the fall I can wear in the summer months. But we have been having the warmest spring summer that I ever remember, living in the UK for 20 years now. And I feel like between that and having recently pared down my wardrobe with things that weren't fitting my current body, I feel like I have some major gaps in my summer wardrobe, and I've been really noticing and thinking about the things that I wish I had. So I'm excited to share with you guys a few things I'm hoping to sew that I can be wearing this summer. The biggest gap in my summer wardrobe are summery dresses, which surprised me because I feel like I make so many dresses that surely I shouldn't need more. But I've actually changed size recently and taken a lot of dresses out of my wardrobe, and the dresses that are suitable for summer are honestly not as many as I would like in my wardrobe because I love wearing a nice, lightweight, floaty dress in the summertime. It's one of my favorite things to wear. The first dress that I'm hoping to make is one based on this dress that I'm wearing now. So it's like a variation on this March dress by Helen's Closet. This is in an Indian block print fabric, which I really love. It's one of my favorite fabrics to work with and definitely one of my favorites to wear in the summertime. It is incredibly lightweight, so it's got a really nice kind of movement and buoyancy. It holds gathers really well, but it feels, honestly, when you're wearing Indian block print fabric, it feels like you're wearing nothing because it is so light, and I really think it's a great combination with this particular dress. Now, this dress has a lot of cool details going on. So it has this kind of front yoke section where it peeks out the front, folds back. So you want to make sure that you've got a fabric that looks as good on the inside as it does on the outside. There are optional ties, and I debated whether I would not put ties on the next version because I never will tie it. I generally don't like it tied up. But when I look at the samples where there's not a tie, it seems to sit up more, and I actually like the weight of the ties actually pulling it open. That is my preferred way to wear it. This has a dropped sleeve, and then there's a long or a shorter sleeve option on top of that. So I made the shorter sleeve version. It goes just below the elbow. There's a version that goes all the way to the wrist. What I will say is it's always a balance in the summertime for me where sometimes you think, right, the less you're wearing, the more skin's exposed, the cooler you're going to feel. But sometimes having a little bit of sort of shading from the sun, a little bit of coverage makes you feel cooler. And I often find when I'm wearing this, I feel cooler than I'm wearing a really strappy tank type dress. So I think I want a little coverage of this slightly shorter sleeve, but I don't think I would want to go all the way to the wrist. So this is what I'm thinking for my next version. Now, the key thing with this is there's a version that's a hack on the Helen's Closet blog where you can do, it's called an apron style dress. So basically you make the front and the back with ties extending. You can do it either version first, so you can tie at the back and then tie the back around to the front to have a bow at the front, or you can do it vice versa. I hope I'm explaining it well. I'm sure if you're seeing pictures, you're understanding what I'm talking about. What I like about this is it adds extra waist shaping. Now this dress, it is very oversized. It's meant to be oversized and floaty, particularly around the waist, which I do like, and especially when it's a hot day, I don't want anything too tight. But for me, I actually feel like I need a little bit of something to shape me at the waist. I don't really like it being quite so sack-like. Now this version that I'm wearing today, what I'm currently wearing, you probably won't be able to see, I've actually added an elastic channel and just brought it in a little bit at the waist, just to add a bit of shaping. It's certainly not tight. It's just more compared to the previous version. There's a little bit of something bringing it in under the bust, a little bit of something bringing it in at the waist. And I do prefer it this way, but I think the apron style version is even better to me, and I can obviously tie it as tight as I want to. I don't have to make it like super tight. I don't want anything super tight in the summertime, but I can just make it comfortable, like I said, with a little bit of shaping going on. I have been so curious to try an apron style dress for a long time, and I've almost bought patterns, and I love that this is a pattern that I already have, so I can just use what I've got. Now I am interested to make a muslin of maybe just like the bodice section, because It does go quite low, the area that it would cross over, and Helen said that her version, she felt that it gave enough bra coverage, sort of the crossing front and back over each other, but I'm not entirely sure that would be the case for me, and I certainly don't want bra peeking out. So I'd be curious just to see just maybe this bodice section. Like I said, I don't even have to add the sleeve on, but just to see how that crosses over. I could even consider not putting this extra sleeve extension on, which is I think what she did in her version. You guys will have seen that and you'll know if she did or she didn't, but possibly just having a little short, almost like a cap sleeve looking thing, little drop sleeve, could be another possibility for this. I'm still weighing up all these options, clearly. What I do want to do as far as the length of this, there are different length options, and what I actually really like doing is making it a longer dress with a gathered tier at the bottom, which is what I did on the version that I'm wearing now. And I feel like that is a really nice length that I like to wear. And I also like that you get a little bit more movement and volume at the bottom of this dress, and it really does float around in a wonderful way. The only other thing I would change with this, there are pockets on here, but they're not as deep as I would like them. So I think I would lengthen the pockets a little bit and possibly bring the pocket opening up a tiny bit. It's all just like personal proportions really, but that's just a minor adjustment I would make. Let me show you the fabric. I want to use this fabric. So this is another Indian block print fabric. Have I got it upside down? Yes, I do. Let's put the flowers the right way up. This Indian block print fabric came from Merchant & Mills. I do have to show you guys up close so that you can see. I really love this red color. It's like a slightly orangey red color with these very pretty little flowers on top. I like that it looks quite different close up than it does further away. I like the kind of stripy lines that you get as a result of it when you're looking from a bit further away. It is going to be very similar in feel because it's an Indian block print fabric. So just like the fabric that I'm wearing, it is super duper lightweight. I know it moves really well. I know it's going to take the gathers really well. And I know it's going to be so comfortable to wear. So this is something that I've had in my mind since I saw this hack on Helen's Closet. And I'm really excited to actually sew it up. I think I'm going to love wearing this one in the summer. Now that one came with the idea for the pattern first, and I was looking for the right fabric for it, and when I found the right fabric it was like the perfect pairing for me. But this next one is an example of a dress where I actually started with the fabric first and tried to work backwards to what dress I would want to use it for. The main fabric that I'm talking about is this. So guys, I'm going for the red. I do really love red. I have a lot of red in my wardrobe, and I had this idea that I need to just maybe pause on the red. Maybe I have a little bit too much red, but since I pared down my wardrobe and took away things that aren't fitting, I don't actually have that much red. So I've kind of given myself the go ahead to sew up some more red things because it's a color that just makes me happy. It's so vibrant and I really enjoy wearing it. Now this is from Blackbird Fabrics. It's an eyelet fabric. I'm going to bring it right up so that you can see the little pokey holes. Now they are quite small holes. Hopefully you can get an idea of like my hand for perspective. You can see the size of them. And I feel like you could definitely make a blouse out of this and just wear a different colored bra that would pop, and I think it would work fine. But I want to make a dress with this. So I also bought the matching lining. So what I love is they have like the perfect matching lining so it will just peek through underneath but not be overly visible. This is very much a lightweight fabric, bouncy fabric, as you would expect. The lining is, I want to say it's a cotton lawn. Yeah, so it is, again, very lightweight, very drapey, lots of movement underneath there, and I feel like it's going to work really well with my vision. And what I decided I want to do with this is make the myosotis dress by Deer & Doe. I have made this dress 2 times before. I made it once in a Indian block print fabric, funnily enough. Love that dress so much, but it doesn't currently fit me, which is part of why I was like, maybe I need to just make another one. And I made some alterations on that dress to begin with. I did size down a size, which I debate whether I should have done, but hey, I was happy with how it went at the time. But I did find it difficult to get on and off over my head just because I have some issues sometimes with my shoulders getting into like tight fitting waist areas over my shoulders. And so I ended up adding an invisible zip in the side to be able to get in and out a little bit more easily. I also decided that I wanted to have, similar to the dress that I'm wearing now, a little extra gathered section at the bottom. So there are 2 lengths for this one. Maybe I was getting mixed up with the March dress and that just has 1 length. They have like a top version as well as a dress version. And I don't think there's any gathered tiers on that dress whatsoever. But The myosotis, there's some similarities you're obviously going to see between the two. The myosotis dress has two lengths. One has a gathered section at the bottom, and that one is actually a shorter version of the skirt. And then you have the gathered section, and they both end up being quite short skirts, which I hadn't realized. I wanted to go for the longer skirt version when I made mine, but it became very clear that it was really quite short still, and so I added the gathered section at the bottom to make it better, more the length that I want, very similar to the length of this dress that I'm wearing. And I do love that dress so much. So I love that there is this gathered section at the bottom of the dress that is mimicked by a gathered section on the sleeve. So this one has like a proper set-in sleeve. It's a very nicely fitted bodice. It's got darts at both the sides and at the bottom for shaping at the waist and at the bust. There's some shaping at the back, some darts at the back as well. It's got a really beautiful feminine silhouette overall. There is a collar. I want to say I didn't do the collar last time and I just went for a Mandarin style collar. Debating what I want to do with this version, keeping my options open, but I'm also considering whether to make it just short sleeve. What I'm thinking, because I have this eyelet fabric, I definitely want to do some lining on some sections and not others. So I bought 3 meters, I think, of this one and 2 meters of the backing. Don't quote me on that, but I definitely bought less of the lining fabric. The idea being that I would have some of the sections unlined, so certainly the bottom gathered section of the skirt would be unlined, and probably I'm thinking of doing the same on the sleeve. So again, they kind of mirror each other, but depending on how much of this lining fabric I have, some more length of that skirt may end up being unlined. As long as I can cover the areas that need covering, I think that's absolutely fine. And I do want to make sure that the bodice is fully lined. To make this easier to get on and off, I'm going to make it button down all the way from the front to the bottom. And that's what I did on my other version. So I made a corduroy version of this dress, which I really love. Really great winter dress. And it's fully buttoned down. So normally this dress is going to be buttoned just on the bodice, and then it's just a skirt that wraps around. I think it works really well as a full-on shirt dress with buttons all the way down. And like I said, that's just going to make it easier for me to get in and out of it and allow me to still make it as fitted as I want it to be. I don't necessarily need it to be overly fitted because, again, I'm talking about a summer dress. I want a little bit of kind of looseness. I don't want anything too bulky, especially because I'm going to have 2 layers of fabric. I don't want it to be too bulky on the waist area in particular, but I'm going to play around with it, and I think it could have some really great potential. I think it'll be really fun to play around with this type of fabric. I haven't sewn with eyelet fabric for a while. It is everywhere at the moment. I actually bought this fabric after hearing Helen and Caroline talk about sewing with eyelet fabric on the Love to Sew podcast. Totally influenced, not gonna lie, and I was really curious to try and play around with this fabric myself. After I ordered it, I've been noticing how much eyelet fabric I'm seeing everywhere I go, so it'll be kind of fun and funny to be on trend. I'm usually somebody who tries to stay away from the trends and will sometimes be put off by things because they're too trendy, which honestly I kind of could be with this, but I'm too excited about my concept. I think it's going to work really well. I've managed to find some really great matching buttons, and I think it's going to be a gorgeous dress and a very fun one to wear, honestly, like various times of the year. It does not need to be necessarily a summer dress, but I think the lightness of these fabrics is going to make it a really good one for when it is hotter as well. And one other thing that is really missing from my summer wardrobe are summer blouses. I've been enjoying making and wearing blouses recently, particularly with more like feminine fabrics or more feminine silhouettes and style details to them, but I really don't have very much that are specifically summery. And I definitely would appreciate having those, particularly for my work wardrobe, but honestly just for my day-to-day as well. Now, I do have one particular blouse in mind that is going to be familiar to some of you. If you've been watching my channel for a while, there's a very good chance this is going to feel like a repeat. But it's not exactly a repeat. It's more or less the same, but there's reasons why I'm bringing this back into my plans. So there's a blouse from the Cashmerette Club called the Selwyn top. Now the Cashmerette Club, you can only access this pattern if you have an all access membership because this is an older pattern from the club. I'm a club member, all access member that I pay full price myself, and I have been eyeing this blouse for some time, and I had previously planned to make it. This is a really beautiful blouse with so many lovely details. So there are princess seams that go all the way from the front to the back, so you get really beautiful shaping and fitting there. There are pin tucks along the front as well to add a little bit of extra detail, and there is an optional, like a ruffle sleeve. It's like a butterfly cap sleeve kind of thing. Definitely very feminine. It's gathered on there. You could do without, and I would be tempted to make this without the little ruffle sleeve, but I particularly do want to make it with it there. Now, I had plans to make this blouse before that somewhat stalled. So let me show you the fabric that I want to use. It is this gorgeous Liberty Tonalon fabric. It is a really beautiful print. The colors on there are just so fun and vibrant and summery. They make me really happy. Being a Liberty Tonalon fabric, as you would expect, it is incredibly soft. It does have a really wonderful drape and movement, but also it will gather really nicely. I feel like it is such a perfect type of fabric for this blouse. The only thing I will say is I think you are somewhat going to lose the pin tucks. I don't think you're going to see them as much as if it was more of a plain fabric. But this fabric makes me really happy. This is actually leftover. I had quite a bit because I had a large amount to begin with, because I had previously cut out this pattern. So in this little bag, my project bag, is a partially completed version. Have I got all the pieces here? I have partially completed version of this top. I mean, it's kind of heartbreaking because it's really quite a lot of progress has been made. Now this is obviously a crumpled mess because it's been balled up in a bag. This is what you can see are, hopefully you can see the pin tucks. This is the ruffle cap sleeve that has been added on. This has been sewn with French seams completely by hand. So the intention was to make this top completely by hand, and I made a good start, and I have done, as you can tell, quite a bit of it. However, my size has changed, and this just is not going to fit me anymore. I had tried it on and I noticed that the armhole was a bit tight, but even across the bust it's really tight. Because this is intended to be very fitted, it really doesn't fit that much if your body shape changes. And my body shape has, and I've gone up two sizes in some parts of my body from this previous pattern, and I really held off on this top and held off on what to do with this fabric because part of me felt like I put so much into hand sewing that previous version. But since I started, I've also developed issues with my hand and my wrist, and I have not been able to hand sew because it causes too much pain. And I feel like I need to just allow myself to move forward and make this blouse in my current size, in the same fabric, on my lovely, wonderful, convenient sewing machines, and just accept that. It's been hard for me because I really was hoping to get to the point where I could finish sewing it by hand, but then obviously I didn't really want to sew it with the version that I had because I knew it wasn't going to fit. And realistically, I wasn't going to be able to take it out enough to fit me well. And so I feel really positive about the fact that I've allowed myself to just let it go. I feel like it can be really tough sometimes to let projects go and move on. And I think I am going to really love wearing this top. And I think it's going to make me really happy and feel a little bit, I don't want to say cathartic, that feels a little bit overly dramatic, but certainly like affirming in my body where it is and allowing myself to make something that fits me now, that I'm going to enjoy wearing now. I think that's going to bring me a lot of joy compared to holding on to this other version partly made in a size that's just not going to fit me. So I do think this is going to be gorgeous made up as it is. Now, funnily enough, I was looking at the hashtag for this over on Instagram. There are so many gorgeous versions of this top, by the way. I think it looks fantastic on honestly every single version that I've seen, but I can see that somebody has made it in this exact fabric. Now, I think they made it since I announced my version that I was making a couple of years ago, but I don't know if they're aware of the fact that I was going to be making it. But the photo that they have is only a flat lay, so I don't get to see it on a human, which would have been quite fun to see. But one way or another, I do really want to make this up, and I think I will love having it in the summertime. I think it will be really professional, really feminine, really pretty. I think it will feel really comfortable on a really hot day, and I'm excited to finally make this top up. I would be very curious for anybody else in England if you've been noticing having some more gaps because of all the hot weather we've been having. I feel like we're not usually fully prepared for this much hot weather, so I'm sure I'm not the only person noticing that there's just not enough hot weather clothes in their wardrobe. But regardless of where you are, I would be very curious to hear what you guys are planning to sew up for the summer or winter, depending on where you are. I am really excited about these projects, but do also tell me if there's any that are particularly standing out to you that you are interested in, that you are excited in. that you are curious about. I think these will all be really gorgeous, and I think I will enjoy the process of sewing them all up. 2 of them I have fully sewed up before and really enjoyed the process, the 2 dresses, and the top, from as far as I got, I think it will be a really satisfying and really enjoyable sew once I do make it up on my sewing machine. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please do give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed my video. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel if you want to see all these beauties sewn up and other things coming up in the future, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!